Hey there, wrestling fans. Who doesn't love the drama, the action, and the excitement of tag team wrestling? It's a spectacle that has entertained us for generations. But you know, not all tag teams are built on friendship and camaraderie. In fact, some of them absolutely despised each other behind the scenes. Today, we're diving into the world of professional wrestling to bring you the 10 wrestling tag teams that absolutely couldn't stand each other in real life. I'm your host, and let's get ready to rumble. First up, we have a tag team that's probably best left forgotten, the Dicks. These guys were all about baby oil and innuendos, but behind the scenes, it was no laughing matter. Chad and Tank, or should I say James and Chad, couldn't see eye to eye. Tank was frustrated with Chad's inability to handle backstage ribbing, which led to a backstage brawl during an international tour. Tank easily won, and it was no surprise when this oily duo split up. Remember the Mega Powers? Macho Man, Randy Savage, and Hulk Hogan were an iconic tag team, but their egos were larger than life. Backstage tensions ran high, with Savage blaming Hogan for his marriage falling apart. These two wrestling legends nearly came to blows backstage at a TNA show, proving that even the Mega Powers had their limits. Now, let's shift our focus to a high-flying duo that took the WWE Tag Team division by storm, Paul London and Brian Kendrick. Their unique wrestling style set them apart from the hulking giants of their time. They even had a remarkable 331-day reign as WWE Tag Team Champions, making it the third longest in history. But as we know, all good things must come to an end. And for London and Kendrick, that moment arrived on a fateful episode of Raw in June 2008. Kendrick shocked everyone by walking out on London, effectively ending their partnership and turning heel in the process.
Oh man, the Samoan spike right into the throat of Paul London.
When asked about the separation on the Sportskeeda podcast, Unscripted, Kendrick believed that their team had run its course, stating, "It was time for us to split." After London's release in 2008 and Kendrick's departure the following year, the two ventured into the independent wrestling scene. They even added a reign as ICW World Tag Team Champions to their impressive list of accomplishments. However, when Kendrick re-signed with WWE in 2014, their bookings together became a thing of the past. But wait, there's more to this story. In February 2022, Kendrick's pending AEW debut stirred up controversy due to several controversial remarks he had made in a shoot interview. Kendrick delved into conspiracy theories about 9/11, the Sandy Hook massacre, and even the Holocaust. His comments created quite a stir in the wrestling community. London, who had not spoken to Kendrick in years, opened up about the controversy on Café de Rennes. He recalled a disturbing incident in Amsterdam when Kendrick was banished from a friend's house for denying the Holocaust, despite the friend having family members who were victims of that tragic event. London made it clear that he didn't harbor hatred or ill will towards Kendrick, but emphasized how different they were from each other. Now, let's talk about the Can-Am connection, Rick Martel and Tom Zenk. They had all the potential in the world, but couldn't get along off-screen. Zenk felt Martel was naive, while Martel believed Zenk lacked the thick skin needed in the wrestling business. Their partnership crumbled when Zenk wanted to renegotiate his WWE deal, and Martel refused to back him up. Moving right along, let's talk about a historic tag team that made waves in the wrestling world. Tony Atlas and Rocky Johnson. They achieved a groundbreaking feat by becoming the first World Tag Team Champions of African American descent in WWF history, defeating the Wild Samoans in November 1983. As the Soul Patrol, they held those championships until April of the following year when they lost them to the North-South connection. But behind the scenes, it wasn't all smooth sailing for this groundbreaking duo. In fact, the waters were quite turbulent. In shoot interviews with the Hannibal TV, Tony Atlas claimed that they were never friends, and Johnson often left him stranded at hotels during their road travels. Atlas even mentioned a fistfight that took place between them before they lost the tag titles. Johnson had a different perspective. Also speaking to the Hannibal TV, he said that Atlas's frequent absences from small-town venues and his battle with drug addiction were major factors in the decision to take the titles away from them. Despite their differences, Johnson admitted that he had given Atlas booking opportunities, but was ultimately ghosted by him. Wrestler David Schultz confirmed that the two had their share of problems, with Atlas having a reputation for no selling, while Johnson carried on with business as usual. Fast forward to January 2020, and the wrestling world received sad news. Rocky Johnson passed away at the age of 75 due to deep vein thrombosis, as revealed by his son Dwayne, also known as The Rock. Tony Atlas offered his condolences to The Rock on Twitter and spoke about his former tag team partner, saying, "It takes two, and I never would have done it without you." However, in a 2020 interview, Atlas revealed that he wasn't invited to Johnson's funeral, but had a conversation with him days before his passing. Perry Saturn and John Cronus, the Eliminators, went from nightclub bouncers to ECW tag team stars. However, Saturn had issues with Cronus's attitude and backstage behavior. Saturn refused to reform the team after his injury, and their partnership came to a bitter end. Buff Bagwell and Too Cold Scorpio had a high-flying partnership that got over with fans. However, Scorpio had issues with Bagwell, from burying him behind his back to demanding his business class seat for his then wife. Their partnership ended prematurely, and the real-life animosity lingers to this day. Now, let's shift our focus to the dynamic duo from NXT who broke new ground for women's wrestling in America, Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch. These two talented women met during their developmental days and quickly became friends as they were often booked on the same shows. However, their friendship took a bitter turn after Becky Lynch's heel turn at SummerSlam 2018.
Oh, Becky! Becky, what? That's your best friend! Come on, Becky.
In an interview with Bleacher Report, Lynch explained that her rising star power threatened Charlotte Flair, which led to the two butting heads behind the scenes. Their personal beef even spilled onto the television screens in October 2021, when they exchanged championships after being drafted to different brands. During this awkward exchange, Charlotte dropped her Raw Women's Championship and Lynch threw her SmackDown equivalent, making the championship seem like cheap props that weren't respected. The entire segment had an underlying tense energy and left fans wondering about the real-life tension between the two. It escalated to a verbal confrontation backstage, resulting in Flair being dismissed from the premises. Despite their issues, they had a physically intense match at Survivor Series 2021, with Lynch coming out victorious. Since then, they have remained isolated to their respective brands. Flair has expressed her hope to bury the hatchet with Lynch, claiming that dropping the championship was an accident. When asked by Steve Austin what she thinks of Flair, Lynch had one word: a hole. Flair also shared her perspective on Broken Skull sessions, describing their dynamic as initially being supportive but evolving into a clash of two strong-willed alphas who don't see eye to eye. Let's dive into the disastrous revival of a legendary tag team, the LOD 2005, where Road Warrior Animal was paired with Heidenreich. This partnership was meant to resurrect the iconic Legion of Doom, but it ended up being a complete train wreck. Behind the scenes, things were far from rosy. Animal was increasingly frustrated with Heidenreich's backstage behavior, which he found hard to tolerate. On the other hand, Heidenreich believed that Animal was trying to bury him and hold him back from achieving success in the business. Their tensions spilled over into their on-screen performances, and it became evident that this partnership was a disaster both in and out of the ring. The chemistry that had made the original Legion of Doom so legendary was sorely lacking, and it showed in their matches and interactions. And now, we come to our final tag team on this roller coaster ride through wrestling drama, the Rockers, consisting of Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty. These two high-flying daredevils were a sight to behold in the ring, but behind the scenes, their story was anything but harmonious. Shawn Michaels, known for his antics as part of the clique, had a knack for making enemies in the wrestling world, and one of those enemies happened to be Marty Jannetty. While they dazzled fans with their in-ring performances, their real-life relationship was rocky, to say the least. Things reached a boiling point when Shawn Michaels infamously threw Marty Jannetty through a window, marking the end of their partnership. They went their separate ways, with Michaels finding solo stardom and becoming one of the most iconic figures in wrestling history. It's a classic tale of a tag team that had it all in the ring but couldn't make it work outside of it. Their story serves as a stark reminder that even the closest of partners can have tumultuous relationships behind the scenes. And with that, we've explored 10 wrestling tag teams that, for various reasons, just couldn't stand each other in real life. Wrestling is not only about what happens inside the squared circle, but also the complex dynamics that play out behind the scenes. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the world of wrestling drama. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more fascinating insights into the world of professional wrestling.